Welcome back to Astrology, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kaylin, and today I'm going to be doing your May 2021 horoscopes. I strongly suggest that you watch the horoscope for your ascendant sign or your rising sign. If you have time to watch for your sun and moon as well, go for it. But if you're only going to watch one today, let it be for your ascendant sign. Now, if you want to skip this short but exciting intro where I make an announcement, you can head to the timestamp in the description box below. But for those of you who are sticking around, I've just launched 3 new services on my website, castrology.com. The first one is the half-yearly report, and this is an astrological look at the next 6 months and what kind of energies and new developments you may encounter in your life. The second one is a solar return chart reading, and this is a look at the 12 months ahead for you. This reading is suitable for you if you have just had a birthday or if you are about to have a birthday, because it looks at the 12 months between birthday to birthday. And thirdly, I've launched a Saturn return reading. So if you are currently going through your Saturn return, which means you have your natal Saturn in Aquarius, like I do myself, then this is an ideal reading for you. You can find those at castrology.com, and I will leave a link in the description box below. And now let's get to the horoscopes. Hi Cancer, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your May 2021 horoscope. The month starts off with Mercury entering the sign of Gemini on the 4th of May, followed closely by Venus entering Gemini on the 9th of May. With Mercury and Venus in your 12th house, you may have a bit of disturbed sleep. You may be staying up late, thinking of creative new ideas. You might suffer from a little bit of insomnia during this period of time. On a different note, you could have really great ideas during your sleeping hours, and you may just enjoy meditating and delving into spiritual practices at this time. On the 12th of May, there will be a new moon in Taurus at 21 degrees, and this is in your 11th house. This new moon is actually sextiling Neptune in your 9th house, and new moons always indicate new beginnings in some capacity. So with this particular one, some of you may have some kind of new vision for your future and new ideas about the kind of legacy that you want to leave, behind. On a different note, some of you may join a new group. It could be spiritual, religious, or educational in nature. It could be related to finances and learning more about the financial world or cryptocurrencies, or it could even be some kind of foreign language community or group that you're a part of. On a different note, you may have some kind of idealistic goal or dream for the future, and this is supported by a spiritual figure or a mentor, and that is represented by the sextile to Neptune in the 9th house. The 9th house is all about spiritual figures, religious figures, and mentors in any way, shape, or form. So there could be someone who is really supportive of your goal or your dream for the future. They could actually be investing in your future. They could be backing you financially. All this idealistic goal or dream for, the vision for your future could be related to your higher education and learning, which is also represented by the sextile to the 9th house. In any case, sextiles indicate an energy or a person or a situation which is very helpful and beneficial in nature. And Neptune as a planet indicates an instance or a person who is very compassionate and loving. So this new moon will have a very positive impact on your life, and in terms of when you can see the culmination of the seeds that you're planting, this will be in 6 months' time at the full moon in Taurus later in the year, or even the full moon in Taurus in 18 months' time. Lastly, with this new moon, some of you may be putting some plans into motion in order to organize a large-scale event, whether that's in person or online. In terms of what the event could be in nature, it could be spiritual, religious, musical, something which takes place in a foreign country. It could be connected to education, like some kind of big lecture, or it could be a ticketed event. Now, on the 14th of May, Jupiter will enter the sign of Pisces, and Jupiter will be transiting your 9th house for about 11 weeks until the end of July. Specifically, it will retrograde back into Aquarius on the 28th of July. So you've got about 3 months of this transit. So with Jupiter being in your 9th house, first of all, Jupiter is naturally at home in the 9th house because it rules Sagittarius, which is connected to the 9th house. Despite the fact that it's in Pisces, it is in the sign of its rulership because Jupiter rules both Sagittarius and Pisces. So what I'm trying to say here is that Jupiter is very, very happy transiting your 9th house and being in the sign of Pisces. Jupiter amplifies and magnifies whatever situation is currently happening in your life. So let's just say that you're very spiritual or you're very religious. Jupiter being in your 9th house or transiting your 9th house is really going to magnify this energy. So you're going to become even more spiritual or even more religious. In any case, there will certainly be a focus on matters pertaining to religion, spirituality, atheism, or if you're agnostic, and also philosophical matters as well. In terms of other ways that this transit can play out, first of all, Jupiter represents teachers and people with wisdom and higher knowledge. Jupiter as a planet, and especially in the sign of Pisces, is representative of people who are very compassionate, loving, and benevolent in nature. So for some of you, an important new spiritual or religious figure may enter your life. It could actually be that a father figure enters your life. It will be someone who is very nurturing towards you, but in like a kind, fatherly way, someone who has very high morals, has a lot of integrity, and someone whose behavior and nature you would like to emulate. On a different note, this can represent a travel opportunity because the 9th house is connected to travel, as is the sign of Pisces, and Jupiter is a planet of travel anyway. So definitely travel opportunities could be on the cards. It could be for leisure, pleasure, fun, education. It could be some kind of pilgrimage or a spiritual reason that you were traveling. It honestly could be anything. Travel at this time, if it is available to you. I understand that everyone is in a different situation, depending on where you live in the world. If travel is an option for you at this time, I would recommend that you take it. This is, of course, a general reading, so, always look at your own personal circumstances, but travel for you to a foreign country, or at the very least, liaising with people from a very different cultural background to you, or even status to you, is something which could have a beneficial and healing effect on you at this time. Now, another way that this 3-month transit could play out is that you are very visible during this period in terms of publishing and any kind of global interactions that you're having. So if you have something that you want to publish online, or some kind of novel or thing that you've been working on, this is a great time to do so. So once again, this is between the 14th of May and the 28th of July. And lastly, in terms of the relationships that the 9th house represents in your life, it rules your father, and it also rules your third-born child, if you have a third-born child. And with Jupiter and Pisces here, it's a great time to actually heal these relationships and certainly show a lot of unconditional love and compassion towards your father and your third-born child, or both. And certainly it's a great indicator for you to be open to receiving that love back from them. Now, on the 21st of May, which is my birthday, the sun will enter the sign of Gemini. So this is kicking off Gemini season. So with the sun in your 12th house, you'll be very focused on spiritual matters, psychological matters, and you could be feeling very creatively inspired during this 4-week period. On the 23rd of May, Saturn will go retrograde in the sign of Aquarius, and this is in your 8th house. And this will be for 5 months until the 11th of October. With Saturn retrograde in your 8th house, you may have to work through some bureaucratic matters connected to one or more of the following areas. Mutual resources with your business partner or with your current partner. You may be restructuring your finances with them. You may be restructuring your will. And for some of you, this period of time could be quite testing if you are going through a divorce, and just something to be aware of. And again, this is a general reading. This won't pertain to everyone. There could be an appeal from your former partner, whether that's your former marriage partner, so your ex-spouse, or a former business partner. On a different note, you may have some issues connected to alimony or your taxes that you have to work through, or even something to do with receiving inheritances. So you might have to jump through some more hoops, sign some more paperwork. There could be a delay in receiving your tax return, a delay in receiving like a court outcome with regard to an alimony court case that you've got going on. Or there might just be some issues with like financial disputes with clients. Saturn as a planet represents the government, the law, regulation, and authorities. So that's why I'm mentioning all of these, potentially bureaucratic matters and hoops that you have to jump through. But given that it's in your 8th house, which is very psychological in nature, another way that this transit could play out is that you could be working very hard on your psychological issues and traumas. It could be something from your childhood or from your past that you thought that you'd worked through. And then something just bubbles back up to the surface and you have to confront this matter. And Saturn will make us repeat things over and over again until we get it right. So if you haven't fully dealt with some kind of psychological matter, you may be going back to your psychologist or to your psychiatrist. You may be working through things yourself by implementing some kind of structure or routine which helped you at the time when you were trying to, purge yourself of these issues or really work through them and confront your shadow side. Now, on the 26th of May, there will be a full moon total lunar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. It's at 5 degrees and this is in your 6th house. So full moons in general indicate the ending of a chapter or a cycle. When it's a total lunar eclipse, it's like an ending but on steroids. And given that this is in your 6th house, it could be a sudden ending in relation to your job. Maybe you're leaving work. Maybe you have a realization that you want to leave work. So as far as eclipses go, full moon eclipses can be quite psychological in nature. You may not see the sort of sudden, unpredictable events which usually are indicated by solar eclipses, which are new moon eclipses. So nonetheless, in terms of your job or your work situation, if you are not leaving your job at this time, you may mentally check out, especially around the 26th of May, or even 10 days before or 10 days after. There may be some kind of event which takes place which makes things crystal clear for you that, no, I don't want to work here anymore. Or perhaps you simply need to make some serious changes in your working life. Now, on a different level, an employee that you have may move on, they may leave from work, and in terms of the character of this employee or who it is in particular, it'll be someone that you are not indifferent about. So maybe you really don't like this person in your team, but you didn't hire them. Maybe your supervisor and your manager hired them and you're like really relieved that they finally leave. It might be someone who you are very, very fond of and that you feel quite a karmic connection to, so they might be moving on. Now, this could also relate to a health matter. You may solve some kind of health issue or crises that you've been going through. It could also be an addiction, because the 6th house and the 12th house are very much connected to addictions. And don't forget that the ruler of this eclipse, this lunar eclipse, which is in Sagittarius, is Pisces, and we've just seen Jupiter move into Pisces. So this is a very positive indicator that you could move on from a health issue. Now, for some of you, this could be the end of a court case, or it could be that you are settling your divorce. Obviously, this is in total contradiction to what I just said about Saturn being retrograde in Aquarius in your 8th house, but once again, this is a general reading, so this is going to play out for different individuals differently. Now, on the 30th of May, Mercury will go retrograde in the sign of Gemini, and this will be in your 12th house. It will be retrograde until the 23rd of June. You may start feeling the pre-shadow effects of this Mercury retrograde period 2 weeks beforehand. So let's just say around mid-June, you may start feeling the effects of insomnia, waking up in the middle of the night, having creative ideas come back to you. It might be something which you tabled, whether that's something of an artistic nature, composing a musical piece, or even, a half-written poem. Anything which you started which is creative, you may decide to take back up during this time. Now, with Mercury being retrograde, you could be rethinking any kind of spiritual matter or psychological matter. This could be your attitudes towards spirituality. This could be seeing a therapist again who you used to see, an astrologer or a tarot reader or clairvoyant who you've had sessions with or readings with previously. And for some of you, if you used to be into yoga, if you started learning about astrology, if you started practicing tarot, but then you tabled it, this is definitely something which you might want to pick up again. You might just find yourself, discovering these things in, the back of your closet, and you're like, hey, this was fun. Why did I stop doing this? And all of a sudden you're really into it again. Now, for some of you, if you had started any kind of creative project, whether it's artistic or musical, you may come back to it. It could be a half-written poem. It could be a song that you started writing. Mercury retrograde will see you picking things back up, which you have already started again, but you see things in a different way. You have like a mentality shift, which allows you to finish what you started or to take it down a totally different direction. Now, if you live abroad currently in a foreign country, and I don't mean if you are living in Canada, but you're from the States, I mean like a real culture shock foreign country, you may decide that you want to relocate back home. And lastly, with this transit, in terms of addictions or fears, if you do have some kind of addiction, you may be able to see things from a totally different point of view, which allows you to finally kick this addiction because you understand the root cause. Now, for some of you, if you have a phobia or a fear, you can understand where this came from, why you have it, and you can purge it and release it. Now, something that I just want to draw your attention to, if you, and this is a little bit of a trigger warning, if you were addicted to something in the past, whether that was a few months ago or even many, many years ago, this could be a very trying time for you where you feel very tempted to go back to those habits. And, this really is an indicator for relapsing. And this is especially the case if you are a Cancer moon. If you're watching this and you know anyone who is a Cancer, did I say moon? I meant rising. A Cancer rising, sun or moon, honestly, it could be, any of the three. Just know that your loved one may need your support at this time. So this will be a very testing period for them. So now that you have this information, you can either take precautions for yourself if that's you in this position, or you will be better equipped to support your loved one. And I'm actually going to drop some links about how to support loved ones and for coping with addictions. So check those out in the description box below. If this reading resonated with you, Cancer, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content from me, please subscribe to Astrology. Enjoy the month ahead and make sure you tune in for June 2021 because June is going to be a huge month astrologically. So enjoy May and I will see you guys next month.